Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisheshai Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarini Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, and welcome all the devotees for the Sadachar classes from ISKCON Mangalore. So we are looking into the Dasa avatars. Yeah. So today we'll be looking the incarnation of Balaram. Yeah. So today we'll look at the pastimes of Baldev. Yeah. So he's our Adi Guru. So today's time we'll spend on Balram's incarnation, and then in August we have Balram Jayanti. Yeah? So you can correlate this. That is the time when our temple is also the grand opening is planned for. Yeah, and then you all are invited. You can come in. Yeah, so that's a 3-day event which has been scheduled. Yeah, it's August 17, 18, and 19. So and then yeah, so this happens just a week before Janmashtami. Yeah? So that's something which we should know. Okay, and then today is Balaram, right? So anyone knows why the name Balaram? So what does it signify?
Prabhuji, as I understand that he was the
Prabhu, your
incarnation of
voice is low, very low actually. We can't hear you.
uh,
Very feeble.
what I understand is that Balramji was incarnation of Sheshnag,
Prabhu.
and Sheshnag holds the entire earth on its hoods.
Hmm.
So that's why Balram is supposed to be very powerful. They say he had got the power of 100 elephants.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah,
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Any other inputs from anyone? Anyone wants to add on what Prabhu said? So Prabhu gave one opulence saying that he has a lot of strength.
He's
And
the
his
first. He's the first incarnation of Lord.
very
Planetary
nice.
expansion.
Yes,
First
Mata.
planetary expansion.
Among the Swamsha, he is the first expansion. Correct, Mataji. Okay. Any other thing anyone wants to add? Okay, that's fine. So Balaram, right? So this Bala, so is actually the spiritual strength. Okay. So it's not the physical strength. Yeah. So Balaram possesses the physical strength also, but the actual meaning is he gives us the spiritual strength. Yeah. To be in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So that is Bala. And we'll see in the subsequent slides also. And Rama is nothing but pleasure giving. Yeah. So that's Balaram. Okay. And then, as Mataji rightly pointed out, he is the first expansion. Okay. Of Lord Sri Krishna. And then, so there is not a big difference between Krishna and Balaram. Yeah? So both are same. So he's just an expansion. He's the in, internal potency, right? So of the Lord. So and as Prabhu said, right, the Anant Sheshnag, right? So he actually serves. So with his 1,000 hoods, he serves the Lord. So he is a bed, right, for the Lord. So he's the internal potency. So so we know that at any time, right? So whenever the Lord comes onto the earth, right? So he comes with his plenary expansions. Yeah. So he gets everyone. So whomsoever he needs, right? So he comes along with his paraphernalia, right? It's not that the Lord only alone appears, but yeah, so along with him, everyone comes in. So in this way, even Lord Balram had appeared early. So he appeared a week before, right? So before the Lord appeared, yeah. So because at any time, right? So his associates has to be there, and then because Lord has pleasure potencies, right? So he would like to have all of them. So and then we know, right? So the Yogamaya actually swaps the swaps Balram from the womb of Devaki, right? So actually, Balram was in the womb of Devaki, and then say he was transferred, right, to the womb of Rohini, right? And so that's what happened, right? So that is how Lord Balram um, came in, right? So and the next thing we'll look in.
That is why he's called Sankarshana. No?
Yeah, that's
That is
correct,
why he's
Mataji.
called Sankarshana.
Yeah, that's the reason. So why he is known as Sankarshana, because he will be the source of all spiritual powers, Mataji. Correct, right? And then so why Rama? Because blissful. uh, So and as we spoke in, right? So he is known as Sankarshana or Balram also, right? So either so he appeared in the womb of finally he appeared in the womb of Rohini. Yeah? And then the same references are there. We'll just quote few of the references from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay, so this is from Adi Leela 5.4. Yeah, so Sarva Avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan Tanahara Dvitya Deha Sri Balaram. So here it has been explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnation, and Lord Balaram is his second body. So he is nothing but the expansions which we spoke in here. The purport says Lord Sri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is the primeval Lord. Yeah, so the Lord is primeval. Yeah, Adideva, the original form of Godhead, and his first expansion is Sri Balaram, the personality of Godhead. Yeah, can expand himself in innumerable forms. The forms that have unlimited potencies are called swams, and forms that have limited potencies are called vibhinamsas. Yeah? So Balram had all the unlimited potencies, right? So that's the reason he is swamsha. Yeah? And then following the next verse, right? So एक ही स्वरूप दोनों हैं, भिन्न मात्र काय, आद्य काय व्यायुः Krishna Leela Sahaya. So here it is being said, right? Both have the same identity. So the two are one and the same identity. They differ only in the form. Lord Balaram is the first bodily expansion of Krishna, and he assists in Lord Krishna's transcendental pastimes. Yeah. So that is Lord Balaram. Yeah. So Balaram is Swamsha, expansion of the Lord, and therefore there is no difference in the potency between Krishna and Balaram. The only difference is their body structure. As the first expansion of Godhead, Balaram is the chief deity among the first quadruple forms, and he is the foremost assistant of Sri Krishna in his transcendental activity. So, where is this coming from? Yeah, so these structure and all, right? So, this is nothing from the Goloka chart, right? So, if you look in, you can see in the Goloka chart, these things are there. Yeah. So this is something from Shastra, right? So which says that they are non-different. There are a lot of theories wherein people say that all are they are different and all those things. They are not. And then if you look in the bodily structures, Say one might be wearing an yellow dhoti and then the other um, blue one, yeah, and then Krishna always wears a feather, and then Balaram might not and will not, and so the weapons and all are a little bit different, yeah. So the Lord also declared to Yogamaya, my plenary expansion Ananta Shesh is within the womb of Devaki. On account of being forcibly attracted to the womb of Rohini, he'll be known as Sankarshna. Yeah, so this is what Mataji was referring, right? And will be the source of all spiritual power or bala. So here bala is nothing but spiritual powers. Okay. So bala is nothing but the spiritual power. Yeah. By which one attains the highest bliss of life, which is called Ramana. Therefore, the plenary portion Ananta will be known after his appearance either as Sankarshna or as Balaram. Yeah? And then few call him as Baldev also, right? So all these things are one and the same. Yeah. Prabhuji or Mataji, anyone wants to read this? You can read this. Hare Krishna Prabhu. If you are reading, just increase your volume. I'm not sure if you're using mobile or something. So if you can increase the volume and then read it.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. In the Upanishad, it is stated, Nayam Atma Bala Hinya Labhya. The purport is that one cannot attain the supreme platform of self realization without being sufficiently favored by Balram. Bala does not mean physical strength. No one can attain spiritual perfection by physical strength. One must have spiritual strength which is infused by Balram or Sankarshna Ananta or Shesha is the source of the power which sustains all the planets in their different positions. Materially, this sustaining power is known as the law of gravitation, but actually it is a display of the potency of Sankarshna Balram or Sankarshna is the source of spiritual power or the original spiritual master. Therefore, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is also sorry, who is also the incarnation of Balram, is the original spiritual master. And the spiritual master is the representative of Balram, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who supplies spiritual strength. In the Chaitanya Charitam, it is confirmed that the spiritual master is the manifestation of the mercy of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So as we discussed, right, in Upanishads also it is being stated. Yeah. So these are all some of the evidences from the Shastra. Yeah. And then what Bala means is nothing but the spiritual strength. Yeah. And he is the one who gives us the strength. Yeah. And so because he is the first expansion, right, and he is the Adi Guru, right? Adi Deva is Lord Krishna, and Adi Guru is Lord Balram. Yeah. So the same thing happened during the regime of Lord Chaitanya, right? So when Lord Chaitanya appeared, so Nityananda Prabhu is nothing but the incarnation of Balram, right? And then so he was more merciful, and then he was the one who was actually uh, giving the Harinam, right? So he was actually preaching more extensively, yeah. So, and then that's the reason we always seek his mercy, right? Jai Ho Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda, right? Prabhu Nityananda. So we need his mercy, yeah. So he's our Adi, so he's our first spiritual master, yeah. So anything we need, right, to grow in the spiritual journey, so without his mercy, so nothing will happen, yeah. Yeah, this is the name giving ceremony. So and we know, right, Gargamuni was the one who was the priest for Nanda Maharaj, and then Rohini, right? So Rohini was Vasudev's wife, and then she was kept under the protection of Nanda Maharaj, right? So this was the name giving ceremony. Yeah? Lakshmi Prabhu, you want to read this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I'll
Hare
read.
Krishna. Prabhu.
When Gargamuni was so eagerly requested by Nanda Maharaja, he performed the name giving ceremony as secretly as possible in the cowshed of Nanda Maharaja. He informed Nanda Maharaja that the son of Rohini would be very pleasing to his family members and relatives and therefore would be called Rama. In the future, he would be extraordinarily strong and therefore would be called Baladeva. Gargamuni said further, because your family and the family of Yadus are so intimately connected and attracted, his name will also be Sankarshana. This means that Gargamuni awarded 3 names to the son of Rohini, namely Balarama, Sankarshana, and Baladeva. But he carefully did not disclose the fact that Balarama had also appeared in the womb of Devaki and was subsequently transferred to the womb of Rohini. Krishna and Balarama are real brothers, being originally sons of Devaki. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So this is the backdrop, yeah. So and then actually Gargamuni knew all these things, yeah. But he didn't disclose these things to Nanda Maharaj at that point in time, yeah. And then say why secretly? Because at that time the Kamsa was very violent, right? So and then all these things had to be done secretly, yeah. And then this is some past times, right? So when both the brothers were Makhan chores, right? So they for the pleasure, right, of the gopis, they used to steal butter wherever butter is there, right? So even if there were any obstacles being made or if the butters were tied, the gopis, because if the butter was lying somewhere, right? So on the ground they used to eat. So then the gopis were actually putting it on the top of the roof, but still they used to manage somehow, right, with his friends Krishna and Balaram. They used to play, right, and then they used to enjoy it. So it's not that the butter was not available at home, right? So Nand Maharaj had some lakhs of cows, so they had ample butter at home, but still so they wanted. This was a pastime, so wherein say they wanted to enjoy the butter by stealing it from the gopis, yeah. So that's this, yeah. So this all we already know, so we'll move on. And then, so these are from Srimad Bhagavatam, yeah. So 10th canto, yeah. So in there, right, so Lord Krishna has actually glorifies or he praises Balaram, yeah. So the primeval Lord saw that the stately trees with their beautiful reddish buds and their heavy burden of fruits and flowers were bending down to touch his feet with the tips of their branches. Thus he smiled gently and addressed his elder brother. So this is in Vrindavan, right? So all the trees, all the animals, even the stones and everything, right? So they were giving the transcendental pleasure, right, to the Lord. So whenever they were passing by, right, so out of their respect, right, so they used to bow down, yeah? And then they used to touch the feet of these brothers, yeah? And even it is being said that when the lords used to rest on the stone, right, so with the cowherd boys, so who used to massage their feet, right? So when they used to go for uh, say with the cows, right? So the cow herd they used to go and then say for cow grazing, and then when they used to rest after playing, right? So they used to have massage their feet and all, right? So if they sit on the stone, right? So materially it may appear for us to be a stone, but when the Lord or someone, when the Lord used to rest on it, right? So the stone used to be like a cushion, it seems. So those all things we can't visualize with our material eyes. Yeah. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O great of lords, just see how these trees are bowing their heads at your lotus feet, which are worshipable by the immortal demigods. The trees are offering you their fruits and flowers to eradicate the dark ignorance that has caused their birth as trees." So they are, so possibly there could be some sages also, right? So which are actually paying the obeisances. Yeah. So that's Vrindavan. Yeah. So even yeah, I think in Vrindavan everything is special. So, but yeah, so if we see materially, we may not be able to understand that. But yes, if we have spiritual eyes to look in, right? Yes, Nidhivan, so everything, right? So what? So all the places are there, but so yeah, so we'll have to have even Govardhan is there. Yeah, Vrindavan is very special. I'm not sure how many of you have gone, but if at all you get any chance, you should not leave that. You should not miss that chance. Yeah. So Vrindavan has got different. Even the air itself is different. It's all spiritual. So you'll feel it. Yeah. Even the Govardhan Parikrama also, right? So yeah, you'll not feel that you have actually walked for 24 kilometers. Yeah. So it's very blissful. Yeah, if you are with the devotees. So yeah, if at all you get a chance anytime with going around with the devotees, you should plan for it. Yeah, never miss that. So this is nothing but Krishna and the cowherd boys, right? Say honor Balram. So when they play, right? So at times here Krishna is massaging the feet of his brother. Yeah, and similarly vice versa. These things happen. Yeah. So these are couple of pastimes, and then we saw how Lord Balram uh, say was born and then brought up and all those things. Yes, now we'll see his pastimes. Yeah. So Lord Balram also did a lot of pastimes with Lord Krishna, right? And we'll see them. So this is the first demon which so the Balaram handles this Dhenukashura. Okay. So what happens is now they were small kids, right? So this butter thieves and all are done, and then now they have got calves for grazing. So they were um, now the team leads, right? So and then they asked their father that, yeah, so allow us to go to the forest now. So now we are grown up. So they were around, they, I think they crossed the 10-year mark, and then they wanted to have their own cows and calves, and then they wanted to graze them, right? And then they went into the forest. uh, so it was with his friends, right? So the cowherd friends, and they used to go and then they graze. So what happened is when they were passing by in the forest, right? So there was a forest called Talavan, yeah. So wherein there were a lot of fruits, palm trees. Yeah. That it was full of palm trees, and then it was filled with a lot of fruits. Yeah, and it was giving like a lot of aroma um, in the forest when they were passing by, and then all were ripe, and then nobody could touch them. Right. So even any passerby, right? Because this demon Dhenukashura was there, right? So he used to kill them. So no one could actually enter into that forest. And so his friends actually made a petition. So because they knew that this solution we can get only from Lord Krishna and Balram. So they actually told him that there is a big forest of Talavan, and nobody is allowed, and even the fruits get ripened and then they fall, but nobody can collect them or can taste them. So they said that we should actually go and then taste those fruits. Yeah? So they put a request. And then say the lords agree. Yeah? So Krishna and Balram, right? Say they know that their purpose is to kill all these demons, yeah? And then give them liberation. So they actually went in, and then this Dhenukasura is in the form of an ass, yeah. And so when Balramji entered, right, he actually shook all the trees, all the tala trees, and all the fruits fall. So all the fruits from the trees fell down, and then his friends were actually collecting them, and then they were eating them. So looking at this, right, so Dhenukasura become very angry. So because he was not allowing anyone, right? He actually attacked with great force. Yeah, so he came and then he was very furious, and then he came and he attacked Balram for the first time, and then he was shaking. So by the time he was coming, right, so he was shaking the earth also. So like the vibrations were felt by everyone. Yeah. And then the next time, first time it attacked, so Balram actually saw, and then okay, so and then he he got one hit, and then the next time, so when the demon was actually coming up more violently, right? This time Balram caught hold of the legs of the ash, yeah, and with one hand, and then he was wheeling him around, yeah, and he wheeled him, and then he threw him above the treetops. So while Balram was wheeling him so violently, so the demon lost his life, yeah. And then he was thrown into the palm trees, and the body was so heavy that all the palm trees fell, right? So with this, right, say Dhenukasura was actually killed, and then opposed that, right, so his army came in, and then the other demons were also there. So his associates of Dhenukasura came in, and everything. They both the brothers smashed them. Yeah. So post that, say the Talavan was open for the public. Yeah. So all could enjoy the fruits of Tala, and they could collect them. They could take it without any fear or anything. Yeah. And then even Dhenukasura was also a demon, but who was cursed actually. So he was one of Bali Maharaj's son. Yeah. So who was cursed by Durvasa Muni to become a donkey for 4 lakh years. So and then he said that you'll be actually delivered by Baldev. So that's how the Lord has come and then delivered him. Yeah. So this is all the scene whichever I spoken, right? So that's how Baldev did it. Yeah. Kailash Mataji, do you want to read this? I've already spoken, so you can just read this.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Babu.
Hare Krishna. Mataji.
Dhenukasura was a powerful demon who had
Assume the form of an ass. Okay, Mataji,
he was
yes.
Kalavana, one of the 12 forms of the fear of these demons, no one could approach Talavan and enjoy the numerous flowers and fruits in the forest. Balram, induced by his coward friends, entered the forest, desiring to kill the demons. He began shaking the fruit trees, making a big noise. Dhenuka, furious at the intrusion, attacked Balram with his rare legs, but Balram easily picked him by his legs and whirled him around until he died. As the other demon friends of Dhenuka rushed to attack, Krishna and Balaram picked them up and threw them on trees, killing them. Soon the forest was free of all demons, and it appeared that the bent trees were being directed by Balarama to pay obeisances to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So that's the thing, yeah. And then next we'll look at the next pastime of Pralambasura, right? So he is also an asura, right? So this is in disguise, yeah. So this is at times being called as even people refer this to be an our hypocrisy, right? So duplicity, right? So this Pralambasura, right? So what happened is now whenever the cowherd boys used to go, right? So they used to play all kinds of games, right? So once the cows have been taken to the forest, they graze, and then all the cowherd boys used to enjoy with Krishna, right? So they'll have playtime, so they'll play nicely, right? So and now, so they were playing similarly, so different kinds of games, right? So here in on that day, they divided themselves into two parties. Okay, so one was Krishna. So Krishna was the team leader for one of the teams, and the other way it was Balramji. So both were having two teams, and then the um, plan was, or the game was, that whoever loses that game, right, either running or then whatever it is, right? So in that game, right, so if Lord Krishna's team, if they lose, right, so they'll have to carry on their soldiers Lord Balram's teammates, okay, and then they'll have to carry for some distance, or they'll have to run for 150 meters or so, and then they'll have to come back, and then they again started playing. So looking at this, right, so by then Lord Krishna had killed a lot of demons which comes at Sandin, right? So this time, this Pralambasura, what he'll think is, instead of going to Krishna, right, he said that I'll go to his close associate Balram, and then I'll nap him. Okay. So he disguised into one of the cowherd boys, yeah. So and then he was in the Krishna's Lord Krishna's team, and then so while playing, right, as he planned, right, so Lord Krishna's team lost, and then he got the opportunity to lift Baldev. Okay, he thought that now this is the good chance I can pick him. So he picks him up. Okay, and then what happens is so they all run, right, so they all run for a couple of meters, and then they'll have to come back, but all started running. And what happens is this Pralambasura, right, so he actually deviates, and then he deviates and then takes Lord Balram into a dense forest. Okay, so and Baldev first didn't understand why this person is doing like this, and then he's from Krishna's team. So he thought that he might be a good person, but he was becoming more furious and then going towards the jungle more fastly. Then Lord Baldev understood that this is a demon, and then so what Baldev did is he started become heavier. Yeah. So slowly increased his weight, and then he become almost the weight of a mountain, which Pralambasura could not actually withstand anymore. So with that, right, so the Lord actually punches him on the head, and then he actually brings him down onto the ground and kills him. Yeah. So this is how the demon Pralambasura has been killed. Yeah. So this is what. Once when Krishna and Balram were playing with the cowherd boys, a demon named Pralamba entered their midst, disguised as a cowherd boy. Understanding the inconceivable potency of Krishna, he instead decided to abduct Balram. So this is the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, and then what happens is now Akrura comes in, right? So we know this thing. So if you all have read Krishna book, then you might have got these all things. Yeah. So Akrura actually comes in, right? Kamsa actually sends him as a mediator, right? And then he actually goes to Vrindavan, and then he actually asks the Lord Krishna and Balram, saying that Kamsa has some plan. He has invited you for wrestling and all, but and then he informs the plan also that Kamsa would like to kill you. So both of them agree. Both brothers agree, and then say Akrura actually takes them, right, so on his chariot. And then Akrura is also a great devotee. So he was pulling the chariot, and this is the time when the gopis say that so don't take him, right? So this picture is a famous ISKCON picture, right? So you might see this in most of the temples. Yeah. So and this is where the gopis were pleading. So Lord Krishna and Balram not to go, right? And then here Akrura takes in, and then when they were moving, right? So Akrura actually wanted to bath in Yamuna. Okay. And then he said that in the midway he stopped his chariot, and then he said that he'll take a dip in Yamuna, because he doesn't know when he'll come back once again. So he wanted to take a dip, and then he said that you both brothers can sit, and then they agreed, right? But when Akrura actually took a dip, right, he could see the Lord, yeah. So in the water, right, he could see that the Lord is present with Anant Shesh, yeah. And so he just comes out. He sees that he comes out, and then he sees again both the brothers are sitting on the chariot. So to reconfirm, he again dips into the water, and then again he sees the same picture, yeah. And then he prays obeisances, and then they move on, right? And then so we'll see the pastimes of after entering to Mathura, right? So what happens? So both the uh, brothers enter into Mathura, right? So they actually the next day is the day so when so the wrestling matches and everything is planned by Kamsa, right? So both brothers have entered, and then they were actually doing. Anytime we go to a city, right? So we actually roam around, right? So they were also they were roaming, and then yeah. So at that time, right? Lord Krishna actually delivers Kubja. So yeah, so that is something which we can speak though. So Kubja actually she is known as Trivakra. So bend in three positions. Yeah. So she was actually created a ointment, yeah, with herbs. So which was actually a paste which was for the king Kamsa there. Yeah. And then these two brothers asked if she can give some paste, and then she gave it. And then say as she did service to the Lord, right? So Lord Krishna actually pulls her and then makes her straight, and then gives her a very good body, and then her beauty and everything, right? So but actually she is Bhudevi. Yeah. So that's a pastime which Lord Krishna does in. Yeah. And then say they got to know that in the city, right? So there is an bow. So in the sacrificial arena, so which is being which there is a sacrifice going on, yeah, and there is an bow which is kept, and so all kinds of rituals are being happening. So knowing that, right? So both the brothers enter into the arena, like the sacrifice arena. So just to actually give an indication to Kamsa that he'll be killed soon. Yeah. So that bow was there. Uh, so Lord Krishna actually pulls the bow, right? And then he strings the bow and then he vibrates same way, right? And then he breaks the bow into two, right? And the sound which is made, right? So it was so vibrating that the heart of Kamsa was actually beating like anything, right? And then he felt the presence that okay, something bad is going to happen. So because all the time he was remembering Lord Krishna for a wrong reason, right? So he was meditating, but yeah, Kamsa was meditating for wrong reasons on Lord Krishna, right? But one good thing was at least he was remembering the Lord. Yeah, in a bad way, but he used to remember. So and then it broke into two pieces. So because that was something an prestigious thing, so it had a lot of army around it, and then so they started attacking Lord Balram and Lord Krishna. So they actually picked the pieces of bows, and with that they made all the caretakers. So they killed all the caretakers in that arena, and then they came back. Yeah. And then see the next day, so we know that the wrestling match happens, right? So wherein Lord Krishna and Balaram are boys, right? So small young boys, and then and by then the looks, right? So they were in the youth, and the wrestlers were huge, yeah? And then so they were like the wrestlers' name was Chanura, Sala, Toshla, and all those things, and Mustika, Puta. So they are all powerful wrestlers, right? So who had elephant's energy and all. So yeah, even before entering to the arena, also Kamsa arranges for an elephant to kill. But yeah, so that also they'll kill in, right? And here both the brothers will actually kill all the wrestlers. Yeah. So and then finally they'll kill Kamsa also. Yeah? So that's the episode which happens in Kamsa. And now this is an episode of where Balram strikes Rukmi. Yeah. So this is the pastimes, right? So wherein I think Pradumna or Anuruddha, I think Anuruddha, right? Yeah. So Anuruddha was supposed to marry, right? Rukmani's side, yeah. So Rukmi was nothing but Rukmani was a brother, right? So he was always envious of Lord Krishna, right? Because he wanted to give his sister to Shishupal, right? So, but so there was a marriage which was supposed to happen from the Yadu dynasty and the Rukmi, right? So that was I think Pradumna only. So he was about to marry, and then in that, right? So because always Rukmi was always jealous, right, of Lord Krishna, right? And then so he actually asked Baldev, so Balram to play a dice game, yeah. So wherein they were playing, and then first time he won, and I believe second time also he won, and the third time Lord Balram won, yeah. And then there was a king from Kalinga. They all actually laughed, and then they made fun of Bal Balram, yeah. And then so they said that no, you didn't win it. It was Rukmi who won, and then they said that you only know how to your cow herds, and then you don't know how to play, and then you have gone defeated, and all those things. So they started making fun. So though Lord Balram had won, So they were actually disguising, and then so they were doing injustice, and yeah, so they offended actually, right? They said that you are fit for tending the cows, yeah. And so Baldev got angry, yeah. So, and then he hit with his club on Rukmi's head, and then Rukmi was died, and he died, and the Kalingar, right? So the king who was who was actually trying to support Rukmi, right? He was trying to run away from the spot. So Lord Baldev caught hold of him, and then he broke all his teeth. Yeah? So because he was showing his teeth, so all his teeth were broken, and then he smashed all who were present there. Yeah? So who were actually doing the injustice, and in between, right? So when Baldev said that he has won, there was an Akashvani also who said that celestial voice also came in, and then we said that no, it was Baldev who won. But what to do? People need in some kind of treatment, right? So this is Divida. So this is the Divida gorilla. So this is a pastime, so wherein Lord Balram was with his gopis. Yeah. So he was doing his pastimes. So this gorilla actually, and then they were singing, and then they were enjoying, right? So by then, this uh, gorilla, right? He heard those sweet voices and all, right? So listening that, right? He comes into that arena, right? And he actually starts disturbing the gopis. Yeah? So he was throwing small stones, and then he was jumping here and there. He was moving naked, and then he was showing his bumps, and he was actually literally creating nuisance there. And then Baldev saw that the gopis are getting disturbed, and then he saw that there is a gorilla which is actually doing all those things. Yeah. So Lord Baldev actually challenged this gorilla, right? And then see the gorilla initially started throwing trees, right, towards Baldev, and then Baldev smashed all of them. Yeah. So right, because the gorilla was also very powerful, and then he was trying to push a lot of things. Yeah. So he even threw a lot of big stones. Yeah. So and then Lord Baldev made them into powder. Yeah. And after that, right, he actually hit him at the chest with his fists, so which caused the blood. So the blood came out of his mouth. So he vomited. So and then he was killed. Yeah. And then this is something where actually Lord Baldev was as a mediator. Yeah. Even so, not only annihilation, right? So he actually tried as a mediator also. So with the Kauravas, right? Because he was because Duryodhana was the shishya of Baldev, right? So so this was an incident wherein uh, it was Samba, right? So he was the son of Jambavati, okay, and then he was kidnapped. So what he did is he kidnapped Duryodhana's daughter, okay, Lakshmana, from the Swayamvara assembly, right? He actually kidnapped her. So in the response, right, the Kauravas actually, I think he was handling them single-handedly, but there the Kauravas, they also didn't fight injustice, but they actually there are a lot of warriors, like the six warriors, right? Like Karna, Duryodhana, everyone, right? So everyone started attacking Samba, and then Samba couldn't withstand. So they broke his chariot and everything, and then they actually seized him. Okay, and then they took away Lakshmana back to their Hastinapur. Okay, so by then Kauravas were in the Hastinapur. So this news came to Ugrasena, right? And then the Yadus thought that they were ready to attack Kauravas. Okay, but Baldev says that no, so let me go and then let me actually do the mediatorship. Yeah, he goes and then at the outskirts, right, at the Hastinapur, he has some arrangement is made, so wherein he stays in the guest house, like, so makeshift tents or so, and so he listening this, right. The Kauravas come and they actually receive him very well, and Baldev says that okay, so what has happened, so let's not take this further, and let's resolve this problem amicably, and let's move on. Yeah. So this the Yadus didn't like, because those are, because it's not Yadus, the Kauravas didn't like, and say they felt that they were puffed up, right? And then say they are saying that the Yadus are now giving orders to the Kauravas, right? And so even they insulted, saying that this is like a shoe trying to climb atop of one's head, right? So they said that Yadus are on the mercy of Kauravas. So we gave you the kingdom to rule, and then now you want to be on par with us by marrying our girls. So he was, so Kauravas said that, and then they went into, they went back to their kingdom, Hastinapur. Yeah. So this Baldev didn't like. So the way these guys had this false prestige and ego, right? So what did Baldev do is he took his plow, right? And then he started dragging the Hastinapur, okay, towards the ocean. So by then, all these Kauravas came to their senses, and then they asked not to do so. They pleaded him, and then they said that it's okay. So whatever you say, we'll do it. And then the marriage happened, and then she was sent back. Yeah, yeah. So and then right. So what happened is next the Mahabharat scene comes in, right? So because both the parties were about to fight, right? So and actually Baldev didn't like that, so he went on a pilgrimage. Yeah? And then what happens here? Yeah, so he goes on pilgrimage, and then he goes to Naimisharanya, right? So wherein there are a lot of sages who are assembled, and then Roma Harshana, right? Roma Harshana Sutta is one who's actually given the Vyasasa. So who was actually blessed by all the sages, saying that he should live long and all those things, right? So and then he was the chief sage, you can say, and then he was made the chief sage of that arena, right? So Lord Baldev entered to the arena, okay, and then all the sages paid their obeisances, paid the respect, but Romaharshasuta, right? Romaharshana. So he was not doing anything. So he was sitting on the Vyasasana. So what happened is he was a little bit puffed up. Yeah. So because the irony you see, right? So on the Vyasasana, he was talking about the Lord, right? And so he was preaching people, but he was missing the essence. When the Lord entered, right? See, he didn't pay the obeisances. Yeah. So it's not that someone gets a Vyasasana, right? So he forgets the real duty, right? It's not that we only preach, right? It's not about the parrot talking or say sweet talking, which everyone does in, right? So with lubricative language and all those things, right? So one should have the realization also, right? So in this case, Romaharshana didn't have any realization. Yeah. So he was actually very learned, right? But he didn't have the realization, and then he missed the essence. So Lord Balram got angry, and then you see he took a grass piece. That's it. And then with him, right, he touched his body, he slit his throat, and Romaharshana was killed. So looking at that, right, the sages actually cried. So, alas, what has happened? Why did you kill him? Because we only just made him the chief, and then say, you have created, did a sin, and all those things they said. And then Baldev said that it's not a sin, you see. And then he told his philosophical way, saying that so though he's sitting in the Vyasasana, but he doesn't know how to give respect. So then what happens is he says that I'm ready for any atonement. Yeah. So and and he says that his son Suta Goswami would be given this position. Yeah. But as an atonement, right, the sages actually ask for an help. Okay. So we'll not read this. We'll go to this. This Ballavala, right? So he was a very notorious demon. Yeah. So the sages say that we need some help from you as an atonement. And then Lord Baldev asked, what is it? So they say that there is an demon, notorious demon called Balavala, who actually spoils all the sacrifices. So whenever there is a sacrifice being made by the sages, right, he used to pass urine, stool, flits, all those nonsense he used to do. So wherein he was not allowing the sages to actually complete their sacrifices. So Baldev actually challenges him, and then he kills the demon. Yeah. So that's the story here. And then one of the pastimes is Subhadra's marriage, right? So actually, Baldev was interested in giving Subhadra's hand to Duryodhana. So he proposed that, but Arjuna actually wanted to marry Subhadra. And then Krishna actually made this arrangement, so wherein Arjuna disguised himself as a Brahmana. Okay, and then nobody could recognize him. And he stayed there for some months there, and then so there was a chariot race which happened, so in which he actually kidnapped Subhadra, and he actually fought a little bit with the others, and then he took away Subhadra, wherein Baldev was very angry, right? And then he said that so I'll wage a war against Arjuna, but Lord Krishna mediated, and then he said that it's not only Arjuna, but even our sister Subhadra also likes him. So he mediated, hence there was no war kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. And then this is a small pastime of Revati. Okay. So in Satyuga, there was a king named Revata, whose daughter Revati was excellent in all respects. Yeah? So, unable to find a match for her, the king took her to the court of Brahma for his advice. So she was very tall, so like 15 feet or 16 feet. Right? So she was very tall, and then he couldn't find a bride. Right. So at that time, right, that was in Satya Yuga, right? So everyone, so the kings also could move from one loka to the other, right? So in that way, he went to Lord Brahma, right? By the time he entered there, right, we know, right, Lord Brahma's 1 second or 1 minute actually carries away so many days and months, years here, right, on the earth. So by the time Lord Brahma actually they met Brahma, right? Millions of years have passed by on the earth. And then from Satya Yuga, it came to Dwapar Yuga, and then it was concluding. And then Brahma says that there is only one eligible person who can marry your daughter? It is Lord Balaram. And then he said that you should go. And then by the time the king appeared, and then he approached Balaram, right? For marrying Revati, he accepted. However, she was from earlier yuga, and then her physical, because in the past yugas, right, the bodily features were also very huge and beautiful, right? And then the ages were also long, and then with slowly they are drastically coming down, yeah. And then in Kali Yuga it will shrink to 16 years is what they say at the end, by the end. So so then there was a problem of height, right? So even she was taller than Balram. So then Balram said that it's okay. He actually expanded his plow and then put that plow on the head of Revati, and then she came to a desirable height for Baldev, and then he accepted her as the wife. And then this is the Yadu dynasty's destruction, right? So wherein they actually fight with each other with these iron shackles, and because this is the time when the Lord has annihilated all the demons, right? The purpose was met, and then he wanted to take back all the Yadu dynasties back, right? So that's the thing. With that, we'll end the pastimes. Yeah. So any other pastime, Prabhujis and Matajis, you remember, so which is not covered here of Baldev? You can actually share it, or any pastimes you know from Baldev, so which we have not covered. And then there was one more also. So in the Krishna book, if you read, right, so it was with Yamuna, right, with the river Yamunas, right? So wherein same. So when Lord, I think Baldev went before going to Dwarka or so, right? So he was actually with the gopis, and he wanted to take a bath, and then he asked Yamuna to actually come nearby, right? And then Yamuna refused, because initially she refused, and then even Lord Balram got angry there, and then he actually he was trying to drag her with the plow, and then she said that okay, so I'll provide the service whatever is required. So wherever you need, I'll come. I think that was something which I could recollect. I think with that we cover majority of Baldev's incarnation. Yeah. Okay. Prabhujis and Matajis, any question? Okay. If not, then we'll wind up. Thank you for your association. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.